Welcome back to AEPBN Spotlights, the podcast where we highlight the brothers who make up our growing business network. If you missed episode 1, go check out our conversation with AEPBN founder Lauren Nelson, where we talked about the origin and future of this community. As our second guest, we're sitting down with Jeff Kleid, a seasoned entrepreneur and AEPBN board member. Jeff runs Elite Risk, a company specializing in captive insurance solutions, a strategic and often misunderstood area of risk management that more businesses should be taking advantage of. We'll talk about his journey through AEPi, the lessons he brings from the business and insurance worlds, and how he's helping our network grow smarter and stronger. Let's jump in. Hey Jeff, thanks so much for joining me.
Sure, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're our second guest here on the new AEPBN podcast, the AEPBN Spotlights, and couldn't ask for a better guest. So let's just start at the beginning with your involvement in AEPi. Tell me a little bit about your undergrad experience and what got you involved.
Well, actually, I was very lucky because I wasn't even in the school I ended up being an AEPi at when I became an AEPi. Back then, they kind of made an exception. Now it's a regular process. But I had just moved here to California, but I was in BBYO, which is a precursor to AEPi for many of us. I literally just moved here. My dad had just passed away. He lived here with my mom in California. I lived in Phoenix. I was about a year and a half out of high school, going to junior college in Phoenix. And I moved out here, and a good friend of mine said, well, you don't know anybody, you should call so-and-so. And I called this one guy, Robbie Schreiman. He was a friend in BBYO and hadn't seen him in about 2 years. And he's like, yeah, come to a party. And I came to a party at UC Irvine. And a year later, I never left. And, then I became an AEPi and a brother, and I took some classes at UCI. But really, I ended up finishing at Cal State Fullerton. But I was a brother the whole time, and I ended up meeting my wife there. And it was just the greatest experience for me at the time. And I was fortunate. I was a little older than some of the guys. So I got along with a lot of the founders because it was a later founded chapter, 1986. But I'm, fast forward, I've spent a lot of time, I know we'll get through it, but it's really been my post-AEPi years that became the real pinnacle of everything. But, kind of started BBYO, AEPi, post-AEPi, business, and then AEPi, and then the Facebook group.
So let's talk about that. How long have you been working with other AEPis? So was this part of your career before joining the Facebook group, before the AEPBN kind of got kicked off? Have you always been working with AEPis? And then how did you get involved in the Facebook group? And what's it been like since then?
Yeah, so I when I finished school, I moved up to the San Fernando Valley, which is about 100 miles from where I live now in Orange County. And I stayed in touch with some of my brothers from Zeta Tau, from Irvine. And I did do business with a couple of them. And because I was in insurance, still am in insurance, but, my little brother gave me his auto insurance right out of school. My other little brother gave me his life insurance, who got married. Another fraternity brother gave me his auto insurance. So I kind of did business that way, referrals. Mm-hmm. But then a handful of years out, guys started to really excel. Some started to get into accounting and attorneys. I started doing a lot of work, a lot of reciprocation, a lot of referrals back and forth, and stayed in touch with them. And then as I kind of evolved, I used to get referred from brothers to other business. So yeah, I guess there's always been an underlying current, but I also was always active in the Jewish community, so it kind of crossed over. But yeah, definitely going back to day one. And then in probably early 2000s, I joined a group called EO, which is Entrepreneurs Organization. It used to be called YEO back then, Young Entrepreneurs Organization. The very first day, I actually was put in a forum with a bunch of people, and one of the guys in there, Gerald Olesker from a different house, we hit it off, and we just started doing business, and stayed in touch, and just really built a network together going back from 2003 on with multiple brothers outside the circle, outside of Zeta Tau.
And then the AEPi Facebook group, right? So that really got into existence and started to pick up in 2020. I know you've been an active member since the early days. So how has that been for you? How has that changed business? And what's your level of involvement there?
Well, I'm I'm a big believer. I'm very active. It really started in 2020. It really started more as me as a mentor. I felt really wanting to help a bunch of people. And I was very active in trying to help some of the younger brothers that were trying to figure out the next steps. And my background, I happened to write a book on networking years ago, and I happened to be very engaged with, just different people along the way, and spoke at several college events and things like that. So I understood a lot of younger people, and I was kind of concerned in the early days. But then very quickly, I started meeting a lot of brothers my age. Started meeting a lot of brothers from across the country that were like, we just hit it off. And it's like none of us met before, but I just started hitting it off with them, whether it was Bruce Silverman or Lance Gralick or you name it. I mean, just a ton of brothers that I just started feeling like, wow, I can't believe this. And business, I would say, has always been second on my mind. Even if I'm intentionally out looking for business, I know it'll come. So I'm very, kind of all about relationships and hope that I find the right people to do business with, or I find the right people to get business from, or I find the right people to send business to. Like, I've just always done that. So for me, finding the group, I've never found a group of so many like-minded people, but at the same time, completely different people. Like so many different layers of, from 20 to 85, right? That you don't usually have a group like that where you can actually go across the board, across the world. I've ended up investing in a couple of companies. I've ended up getting a couple of, some business from people, a little of everything across the board.
It's really amazing. I mean, we do span not only age and industry, but we also do all have something big in common, big part of our lives, and it's really unlike anything else in business because you're just walking in with such an immediate bond with everybody else in the group, and really the conversations I have just from the beginning start out so warm, and it's really amazing. That's been my experience as well. Let's talk about the summit a little bit. So you mentioned Bruce and Lance, right? The first time you met both of them was in Vegas at the summit. In person, and how did that change your relationship with them, with other people that you've met, going from just interacting on the Facebook group and becoming friends, but then taking it to the next level and really getting together and getting to spend some quality time in person with these people?
There are two different things. I actually met Lance not at the summit, but through the group. But I met Bruce. It's kind of funny. Leading up to the first summit, we were all kind of getting really excited, and everyone was like starting to communicate. And I think we created sub chat, and so everyone kind of knew who was going and when people were going to get there and who landed when. And I remember I went to go check in, and I remember all of a sudden Bruce and I were in the same space together. We hadn't met, we hadn't seen each other, we hadn't really had a conversation. And he said, I want to go to In-N-Out, I really want to go to In-N-Out Burger. Who's going to meet me at the front? I'm like, I'm right here. And we went, it just happened to be him and I. We went right over to In-N-Out Burger, which is funny because he's like, I never get to have In-N-Out Burger. I really want to get it. I'm like, well, 6 minutes from my house, I can have it anytime, but I'll go with you. And of course, we went to In-N-Out Burger, and from then on, multiple conversations. He's given me some good guidance. I've definitely given him some good guidance on business, on kind of building his latest business and that he's had over the last few years, which has really taken off. I was there for his 55th birthday in Florida. I happened to be going to a meeting in Asheville, North Carolina, and so I stopped there for a day and a half, and then I flew to Asheville for the event. So I spent his 55th birthday, and we're like, a few months apart. And as far as Lance, I just really hit it off with Lance. Lance is a really knowledgeable guy, and actually got me involved in the franchise space. He didn't even get me involved. He embraced me asking a bunch of questions and really educated me on kind of the process and everything. But more importantly than that, we've crossed over multiple times now. Lance and I have kind of been involved in multiple things. His son and a very good friend of mine, a producer, they're making films together now.
Very cool.
And Lance and I are fortunate to kind of be involved in the background of that stuff. And, it's just so many others. It's not just those two, but it's just so many others. I can't even narrow it down.
Speaking of sons, what's it like having two sons who are not just your sons, but who are also your brothers and who are taking an active role in the fraternity as well? I know I got the chance to meet and hang out with Joey a little bit at the last summit. Great guy. Hope to see him again and spend some more time together. So what's that like?
It's awesome. I mean, Joey's now, he's pretty much kind of the right age for regularly being there at the summit. So I hope he'll be there this year. And I know he got a lot out of it. He's 27. He's an AEPi from SF State. I was at his initiation. It was, that right there is the greatest thing in the world. But really, like, we can communicate as brothers differently than as father and son. So like we do, we talk about things. And Joey's been he's been actually freelancing in his graphic design and getting some work while he's out there. He left his first company about 6 months ago, and he's been doing some freelance. A lot of brothers he's been working with, so it's kind of exciting to see. And at the same time, I'm glad I can help, but I'm also glad that his ethics, his work ethic speaks for itself. Then Robbie's, 20, he's going to be a junior at University of Oregon. This group helped get him engaged. He probably wasn't going to be a brother. He went to a Jewish day school, and I didn't think he was going to transition over to be to be an AEPi, but he's really gotten a lot out of it. It's helped him a lot. He loves it. He's looking forward to. He didn't want to go to convention this year. Went last year with me. Next year he wants to go because he'll be 21. He's actually, Conclave is down here, and he's already excited about that because it's right in his backyard. So he'll get to come home right before spring break for Conclave. It's just neat. I mean, it's just, there's something about it, and just watching the interactions and still being a part of your kids' lives, especially when your son's 27 and you still get to be in his conversations on a daily basis, depending on if he needs something or you want to help him or he wants, to help you with something.
So let's talk a little bit about AEPBN. Why did you decide to join the board, and what is your vision alongside with the rest of us? What is your vision for where this group goes in the future, and what other value we can add to the brothers and expand it more than just a once-a-year summit in Vegas and a Facebook group?
So I joined the board because I really want to make sure that it continues to evolve. I think it's a very unique group, and it has more potential than anything I've ever been involved with. And I say that in business, I've been to 600 conferences, trade shows, multiple different disciplines of business industry and things like that, and networking. And like I said, I wrote a book on networking. So for me, I've never seen something that touches so many people in so many ways and gives people an opportunity to go in every direction. So yeah, beyond the summit, I think the summit's great. I think we need to have regular East Coast events. I think we have to have regular stuff that happens in the middle, in the states that I call flyover states, but I know we should, no offense to the flyover states, but, we should have something there. And AEPi in general has done a good job at trying to keep, get people together for the years. This is just a different experience. It's the same people maybe, but it's a different reason. You're not necessarily going to hear something. You're not going just to listen to somebody, give a presentation or do whatever. We've talked about doing some great events in the next 12 months, whether it's a top golf event across the country where everyone goes, similar times, but we interact in some way, even though we're not together, or, mini summits or little golf things or whatever. There's enough people on the board, and I think that's the problem is Lauren has done such a great job getting us here, but really he doesn't have time to be the guy to do everything. He also works, he also runs his stuff. And so being on the board, it kind of spreads out the help. There's always someone on the calls that can interact and decide what we're doing. Like this right here. You took the reins, you're doing it. Hopefully we get a bunch of people out here and we get a bunch of snippets of opportunity.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and I'm really excited to see where we go. Let's talk a little bit about you personally, your profession. So everybody knows Jeff Kleid's the insurance guy, right? But what does that actually mean? Like, I'm not coming to you if I need car insurance now, right? Or if I need homeowner's insurance. What is it that you guys do at Elite Risk, and what sets you apart from other insurance agencies?
Yeah, that's a hard question. So my background is I was a broker. My background is I was, traditional broker, boots on the ground. I wrote business in every direction. A bunch of years ago, I realized that I'm really good at hard to place stuff. And so we formed our own insurance company, basically, to help insurance brokers. So I'm considered an MGA, managing general agent, and also a managing general underwriter. So I have my own paper, my own insurance company that I can decide how to write things. So really, we work with brokers and we look for one-off, really hard accounts. It doesn't have to be high premium necessarily, but usually hard accounts are high premium. But we look for things that really can't be placed out elsewhere. And so it's really hard because a lot of times I get acknowledged in the referrals. I'm looking for auto, I'm looking for home, I'm looking for small business. I would love to be able to do that. And by the way, I don't mind getting tagged because I usually have some referrals. There's some really great guys in here. Joe Gurchin in the Midwest does a great job with really hard to place commercial. Zach Schneiderman does a great job. There's some guys behind the scenes that are doing a great job. And I'm happy to refer people out. But the reality is that really I'm designed for brokers with really complex risks, and then really successful entrepreneurs that might have at least $2 million in revenue in their company, and they might want to take unique risks that aren't offered, like reputation risk insurance, or like contract dispute, or loss of key person, or loss of revenue. I can do all of that in my captive insurance company. So it's just, it's unique, but I know it's few and far between as it relates to how many people I'll find to do business with here, but I really like the engagement and the other stuff that goes with it. So to me, that's work, but it's fun.
Yeah, but like you said, it's not just about doing business in the group itself with the people in the group. It's also about getting your name out there so that everybody who they know are going to refer business to you. So your ideal referrals then are business owners over $2 million in revenue and other insurance agents.
Yeah. And also, so for example, if you're familiar with the ACO guys in here, Jared Breyer and Eric Schneider, both brothers.
Yeah, that still rubs salt in the wounds. That's my biggest miss. I really regret not investing in you guys. Sorry.
Well, they're still doing their thing. They're plugging away and they're doing great. But that started from kind of a mentor perspective. Me mentoring Jared when he was first getting going, and they're an MGA. Basically, they do phone warranties and insurance. So we're fortunate to get involved with them very early on, but more importantly than that, it was because I wanted to help him and I wanted to guide him and I wanted to see what was going on. But the more I heard what he was saying and how he was doing it, I was so impressed. I'm like, yeah, we're in. We'll help you. We'll be a part of that. But that's kind of, that's not necessarily a client, and it's not a business owner. It truly is us sitting behind another insurance company, if you will, using our money, our risk capital to do it. So really, that's why I say it really is, I guess it's kind of what you said. It's not necessarily the person in here that can help me directly. It's really people having those conversations. It really is about just engaging with other brothers and finding out what they need, who they are, what they want. And the more I find out what someone needs, I think the more I can find out where I can fit as an opportunity for me too.
Yeah, it sounds like you're a really good salesperson, because that's the best way to do sales, is to listen and see where you can fill in those holes. Let's ask some random questions. What's the best business advice you've ever received?
Oh my gosh, best business advice I've ever received. Probably it only takes one. The first thing you get is really all you need. Once you get that, you get to the next one. So really just focus on the first thing you do. And
I like that.
And don't look beyond it. Just look at the first thing. We're waiting on this first thing we've been working on about 2 years. And my right-hand guy just said something today, and it was basically, yeah, these guys all want to send me the stuff. I know we're going to work hard on it. And then it's just going to get pushed by the wayside, because that's how most of the stuff seems to go, right? You end up with what you end up. I'm like, no, this one is going to pass the finish line in the next day or two, and then that's the one. And that's really what it is. So, and I also would say, and I heard this in recent years, never begrudge somebody for how they make a living. And that, when I see people, as long as
unless they're a professional hitman, right?
Well, no, as long as it's legal and it does what it does. But a lot of people, I spent my whole life in business with other business owners doing what I do, kind of snickering at some of the things I do, because I do insurance differently. And I won't say it doesn't bother me. I'll say I can't let it bother me, because it's not about them. I got to get, my wife where she needs and the 2 kids through school. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else you want to add that's on the top of your mind that you want to get out there to the brothers?
Hopefully you put this into a little snippet, because this part is really the base of it. I really hope everybody doesn't try to overthink why they should or shouldn't attend something, especially the summit this year. I promise you, if you show up with an open mind, you're going to get one new relationship that you never had, and it could be the one that takes you for the rest of your life. And to me, I think that's really important to all of us in this day and age.
Yeah, and I'll echo that, but I'll say if you're only making one of those connections, you're doing it wrong. And I don't even think that's possible. I've made so many really great connections, including you, Jeff. Personally, I need to thank you. You've been a very strong mentor to me, both personally and in business. And that relationship alone is worth going to the conference. Just meeting you, getting to sit in the car with you and drive with you to Vegas, and getting all that 5 hours of awesome conversation and great advice and some in and out on the way. Really appreciate you. I really appreciate everything you've done for me personally, and also everything you're doing for this network. And you are really accessible. You're very generous with your time with other brothers. And yeah, I couldn't be more grateful to you or to this network, and I can't wait to see where we go.
Me as well. Thanks, Rafi. That was very kind. But I'm excited about it too. So come to the summit, meet some people. I'm happy if you meet one. Rafi's happy if you meet more. But together you meet one, and you'll have a great time, and you'll learn something.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Thanks.
I really appreciate you taking the time, and look forward to building this with you.
Yep, it's fun. Thanks, Rafi.
Thank you, Jeff. If you found this episode valuable, make sure to follow AEPBN Spotlights on Spotify and YouTube, and share it with another brother who you think would enjoy it. Don't forget, our 2025 in-person summit is coming up November 14th to 16th at the Park MGM in Las Vegas. You can find registration and more info at aepbn.com. If you have any ideas for how we can improve the network, please reach out to a board member, as we are always interested in hearing from our brothers. I'm Rafi Caroline. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.